Jumat, welcome back to our show, and we continue the action from last night from the Champions League. Another classic game at the Westfalen. Dortmund came up short eventually against Barcelona. I think the first leg was a problem for them at the Luis Companys. Losing with that sort of gap is difficult to turn it around in the second leg. But credit to Dortmund and how Kovac got the team going early on, and they got into a lead, a 2-goal lead, Fiozi. But then that own goal from Ben Sebaini, I think it ruptures their chances of getting a goal that can get the tie more interesting. But again, credit to Dortmund, and they almost did it. So 2 matches with great performance from teams struggling in the first leg.
Yeah, especially we know that how Dortmund plays into the final last year. This is a team that really can put other teams to the sword if they're on sync, but that's the thing, they're really not on sync at the moment. In the domestic leagues, there are a lot of problems for this team. Gurasi played very well yesterday. He scored a hat-trick, but if he can score that 2 chances, that big chances on the front in the first leg, I think it will be really helpful. He missed a few more chances, even though he has his hat-trick. But still, with the way he took that penalty when he doesn't perform well in his past few months, it's still a credit for him. But he now has like 15 goals in 18 Champions League appearances. That's a very high number for him also. Yeah, give Barcelona a run for their money. Make Hansi also think, especially about that rotation that you said, maybe but Lewandowski said after the game that if we want to make mistakes, if we had a bad game, it's better it came at this stage of the competition, not later, especially not in the semis. So yeah, as things go, Hansi will only say that the main thing is we got through this game without any additional injuries and with a result that still make them go through the last 4.
Yeah, because it was comfortable, the buffer that they took to the second leg, Ali. It was fair for Hansi Flick to make the changes, to rotate the squad. But were you surprised that the rotation didn't happen in that front line? So Lamine Yamal is playing, and then Lewandowski is playing, Rafinha is playing. But in that midfield, there was a change, and then in the back line, Araujo plays in that middle of that defense, and then Martin on the left side. What do you think about the rotation? Was it making the team out of sync, out of balance, in trying to approach that, especially the first half of the second leg?
Yeah, especially I don't see this rotation that Hansi Flick did as the main reason why Barcelona doesn't play as good as they used to, or they show in the 3 or 4 weeks ago, because in La Liga last week against Leganes, I think, they won, but then didn't show a really well performance. I think there's something off in Barcelona, the team, in Hansi Flick team, because I want to hats off, especially the player that scored an own goal, Ben Sebaini. Really good players that make Lamine Yamal a player that's having fun.
Look average.
Yes, having fun to takes on players. Yesterday he doesn't want to takes on Ben Sebaini. He stood as a rock, as a rock standing. That when Lamine Yamal get a ball, he pass back again or to the center of the park. Something off, and Lamine Yamal is not a reserve player or a fringe player. He's a regular player, star of the team, and something off. It's lucky. I have to say, Barcelona lucky. There's no more 10 or 20 minutes for additional minutes for Dortmund, because Dortmund having a moment. Dortmund, having sparks on their side. Gurasi have a really monumental night, a night that he will remember, especially, but that's not enough. let's like Ariana Grande says, never, never is never enough.
He's up with
Almost-
You're
almost
into
never
pop
enough.
culture songs.
He's doing the
yeah.
pops.
Yeah, pops.
Yeah.
That's
off the pops chart.
Yeah.
We're talking about one of Aldi's favorite goalkeeper, Wojciech Szczesny.
Yes.
I think he wasn't comfortable with the back line, with the rotation, with the players in front of him, and hence the penalty for Dortmund after falling Pascal Gross.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it happened. It happened in football. He want to reach the ball, and somehow he changed his mind and to restrict the hand. And yeah, it happened. It happened in football. Luckily, the Barcelona went through the semis, and yeah, it's the performance of the team, not just as Chesney. Chesney played really good as a ball playing goalkeeper. Yesterday, he passed the ball during in his line really well with Araujo and Conde and Martin. So I think it's not that doesn't a night to remember to Chesney. It's okay. It's okay night.
Yeah, and he lost his excellent record of starting 22 straight games without defeat. For someone who came out of retirement to play for Barcelona, considering what happened to him, he's preparing for life after retirement, and then Barcelona came to call, and he said, "Who can reject Barcelona, especially with Lewandowski, his captain of the national team? They're still a very good goalkeeper, but yeah, Hansi Flick, he was asked if when Marc-Andre ter Stegen will come back to the team, who will be number one. He said he hasn't decided yet. I think it will be a big call also for him. Ter Stegen, we know he's a good goalkeeper, but how will he react after losing so much game time with injury? Chesney is an able deputy also, but yeah, without Inigo last night and without Pedri, they lost. They don't have that control of the game.
Exactly. The control and the protection as well.
Yeah, the control, the protection.
Players like the Young in that midfield.
The Young also not performing very well. Araujo below par.
Yeah,
we know
Confused as usual.
Yeah, confused as usual. We know he can be better than that, but yeah, maybe a lot of things doesn't go right with Barcelona last night, but the main thing is they still go through, and this is like the first time in 6 years since 2011 they met. 2019 they met Liverpool. So it will be interesting what will the rest of the campaign brings for Barcelona, because they're still fighting great at three front. They still have that final Copa del Rey. So we're gonna see how Hansi Flick manages his workload. Of course, with Lamine Yamal, we know he's a great player, but he's still very young. He's still 17. He had loads and loads of game for the past 3 seasons. So maybe if we can see him being rotated again, I don't know. But yeah, there's still a lot of riding. There's still a lot riding in this past in the next 2 months for Barcelona also.
Yeah, for Niko Kovac, being the manager of Dortmund, it was difficult a couple of games after playing against the likes of Bayern München in the Bundesliga, and then coming up against Barcelona. What do you see in him that can make him become the manager that's perfect for Dortmund? Because if you see Edin Terzic, he was perfect, but then problems behind the scenes, and he's not there again. Nuri Sahin was maybe it was a step too quick for him to take that job. But now you see tactical wise, and then the shape of the team, and then when he tries to play with a different system against Barcelona in that first leg, didn't work. It was a disaster. But then he returns to his old style, old system. Players are a lot more comfortable, but it was a bit too late in that second leg. Although they perform very well in front of course, the Westfalen crowd, always special, and puts a lot of pressure to the players of Barcelona.
Yeah, and you have to remember, Niko Kovac came to Dortmund in January this year. Very, you know, he's new in this squad. He's new in his team, and his knowledge about the team is really well. And he failed to maintain Barcelona in the first leg, and the second leg he came with another or a different approach. We need a bantam football. We need a basketball side-on-side football, and somehow Barcelona lured to that. There's no players, like you said before. Frankie De Jong failed to control the game. There's no players that, okay, we lead the game, we lead the goal, we lead the aggregate, we need to control the game. No. Barcelona play the Dortmund game. the Dortmund play. So it's hard for Barcelona that play with the risky high defensive line to accept the bantam football from Dortmund. So luckily that some of the defender of Barcelona play well. The Chesney, okay. So other than that, it's a Dortmund night, and unlucky for them to kill or to dig more in the Barcelona goals.
Yeah, Flick maybe learned a lot from that second
Lesson
leg
learned, yeah.
against Dortmund, Firzi, and Aldi.
Yeah.
And then coming towards the next match, waiting for Internazionale or Bayern München. Two very, very difficult side to play against, and Hansi has that, of course, memories against his former side after Bayern München. If they can turn around the second leg, although it's very difficult against a very well organized, well coached Internazionale team, what can they take from that match against Dortmund, and then the difficulties in that second leg towards the next game against either Internazionale or Bayern München?
Yeah, I think it's trying to get more control in the game. I think trying to be more comfortable on possession. I think doing what they want. But we saw this season how Hansi can also change the dynamic in his team by playing more conservative. We saw that in the 1-0 win against Atletico, where he tried a different approach to the game, finding ways to win ugly. I think that's what they need to learn. Also, not always practice that high defensive line. It will be important. Also, we know whoever at this stage in the Champions League, every team can hurt them, be it Inter, be it Bayern. But with Hansi, I think he has a good connection with the squad. He manages all the players well. He communicates with all the squad members really well. So it will be interesting to see what he can take from this game going forward. I think not just in the Champions League, but also in La Liga, where they're still in a tight battle with Madrid.
Yeah, a lot of matches to play for with Barcelona, trying to win a lot of trophies this season. And this team plays a lot different when they have the likes of Pedri and Dani Olmo starting from the get-go. And it's a completely different approach in the system as well, in that front line, because I think they have the best 5 front line if these guys are playing, along with the Lamine Yamals and then the Rafinhas and Lewandowski. It's a very, very scary front line. And if it's Internazionale, do you think that back line of them, which is great with Bastoni and DeMarco and Acerbi, that is a strong back line, and Dumfries as well. But if you look at Bayern München, they're a bit creaky in the back. So which is more, I think, what Hansi Flick wants to face in the second leg?
Yeah, I think Bayern more, because
Bayern.
we know how good Inter is defensively this season in the Champions League. But when he got confronted by the reporters, obviously he won't answer it. So we're gonna know after this come out who's gonna face in the semifinals. But I think with the quality of the forward players, I think they can feel confident whoever they're gonna face in the Final Four.
And in the game Internazionale against Bayern München, there's still a chance for Vincent Kompany's Bayern Aldi.
Of course, yes.
Although looking at Internazionale, looking at how they are playing very well in Serie A and in Europe, with that defense system that is very, very well coached, and then when they start that attack, very swift, very, very efficient. Do you think they still have a chance? And what do you think can make Bayern better in the second leg and trying to turn things around?
Of course, Bayern need to do or to refocus, especially on the defender management, defender section, because their defender cannot defend. Especially managed or coached by really, really legendary defender like Vincent Kompany. They don't know how to defend. They don't know how to, create a really good defensive line. I don't know, something wrong with the defensive, defensive,
Are they too naive? Is Kompany too naive in setting up Bayern with a high risk situation and trying to play high, trying to play.
I think it's just
ultra-aggressive
what
in-
he
in
is.
Europe.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, especially
With
in Burnley, they
But
really
It's
they
different,
still
right?
play.
Yeah.
When you talk about Burnley, you talk about
the risk
Bayern München.
and the stake is different. I know, but
Yeah.
I think this is what he got to do. I think with his pressure in a great club like Bayern, with the management behind him, I think the pressure to we don't want to play defend, we don't want to play defensive, but at least company can to hey, this is the way we defend. Hey, Kim Min
But
Jae.
he's losing a lot of players in that back line.
Of course, yeah.
Ito is out,
Every club,
and then
every club
Alfonso
losing players.
Davis is out,
Yeah.
injured as well.
Yeah, I think there's no reason, especially for a club like Bayern. Also, goalkeeper. There is no Neuer there.
Neuer.
So I think there's no reason. But I think if they can defend well against Inter and frustrate Inter's atacante,
Backline, yeah.
I think Bayern has a lot of chances. But for me, is Inter.
It's International who's
Internazionale,
gonna face
Yeah.
Barcelona, In the
Oh,
semifinals.
Inter Barcelona.
That is gonna be an interesting match if Internazionale wins against Bayern München over 2 legs, and for Barcelona, they will await their opponent, and this is going to be very interesting. The last 4 in the Champions League, so we look forward to those matches in the semifinals. And up next, we're going to talk about the Premier League and where Liverpool has a chance in the next 2 matches to finally become champions again.